Dislocations means when the two articular surfaces completely lost their articular the attachment, or the two articular surfaces completely uh, displaced, so that they have no relations. So this is the dislocations, when the articular surfaces are displaced but some part of articular surfaces remain in touch, then it is called some subluxations. You can see in the pictures here in the X-ray, this is the clinoid cavity and this is the humerus head. There is no relations. It completely displaced. In the X-ray, difficult to say anterior or posterior, but this picture you can say this is the anterior dislocations, anterior and anterior-inferior dislocations. But in this picture here, the humerus head is dislocated, but some part of the humerus is still in contact with the clinoid cavity. So this is called subluxations. This is just a degree of dislocation. When degree is completely lost, then dislocations. When the some part is still attached, then it is called subluxations. The classifications on the basis of the etiology: congenital and acquired. Congenital means when the dislocation is since birth. So most common congenital dislocations occurs in the hip joints. That CHD means the hip joint is some child while birth or during giving traction or some other factors, when the child birth it has dislocated hip joints. Acquired means there is two kind of that, traumatic and non-traumatic. Traumatic where the any kind of the trauma, any kind of the injury which causes the dislocation in the joints, that is comes the traumatic. And when the non-traumatic means the non-traumatic factors which are responsible. There are some non-traumatic factors which are responsible for that dislocation, are especially the infections and the malignancy. So while the infection or the malignancy, they just due to the effect of this infection and malignancy, the factors which are keeping the joint stable, that means the ligament and the muscles, if they are destroyed by the infection or the malignancy, the ligament or muscles are destroyed, then that joint becomes unstable, and with a very minimal trauma, usually that joint becomes dislocated. So that comes in the non-traumatic dislocations. In the traumatic dislocation, there are four kind of dislocations you can come across. First, the acute traumatic means when the acute there is in a roadside accident or any kind of the injury, there is a severe force which tear the ligaments, which tear the muscles, are due to strong force. That two articular surfaces goes beyond the limit, and there is no attachment there or the subluxation. So this is the acute kind of the dislocation which occurs due to the severe trauma, severe force. Second case is a chronic unreduced dislocation. Suppose some kind of the subluxation was there, some kind of the displacement or there in articular surfaces, and that was not corrected at that time, because some joints may have some, especially in the smaller joint, if there is a very small displacement, there is minimal subluxation may be ignored by the patient in the initial, and in the chronic phase the patient comes to you, then that kind of called chronic unreduced dislocations. Then recurrent dislocation, the condition where a particular joint, when once dislocated, then due to that weakening of the muscles and weakening of the ligament, that joints become very much liable to get dislocated or subluxated very easily with a very minimal trauma. The very good example of the recurrent dislocation is the shoulder joint. In the shoulder joint, if once dislocated, because there is a very shallow cavity, and the joint is the two surfaces of joint means there is the gravity also effect, means the humerus joint is thus gravitational effect is downward, while the glenoid cavity is horizontal. So there is some ligaments and muscles are which are attached to that joint capsule. They make it stable, but once the joint is the shoulder joint is dislocated, means that capsule is ruptured and the ligament and muscles are weakened. So after after once is dislocated and it is not repaired, then if any minimal trauma can cause again the dislocation of the shoulder joint, that is condition is called recurrent dislocations. Third condition is the fracture dislocation, means once when there is any joint is fractured or any bone is fractured near a joint, and at that time of the injury the joint also the joint is also affected by that the trauma, and that some kind of the dislocation, that subluxations may occur in that injury, that is called fracture and dislocations. Understand? So these four kind of that dislocation or the subluxations comes in cross in the clinical practices. So here there is some kind of the anatomy of this dislocation disease or the subluxations. So we already had discussed that dislocations never happen without damage the protective ligament or joint capsule. There is always some kind of the weakening or the damage of the joint capsule before the dislocation happens. That may be the due to the severe trauma, that may be due to the any underlying disease, the infection or the malignancy. Usually along with the capsule, one or more ligaments are torn, means only joint capsule is torn, maybe not sufficient for the dislocation. Some nearby ligaments or the muscles may be torn or ruptured. Sometimes capsule is not torn, but some part of the strip is stripped or avulsion. We already had discussed the avulsion is kind of the fracture, means any strong ligament is attached to the bony part, and due to the severe trauma, severe force, that part, particular part where that ligament was attached, get stripped off from that major joint, major bone, and that is called avulsion. So some kind of the avulsion may also happen. Suppose this is joint and some ligament attached from here, this hand to this hand, and when severe trauma, this like trauma occurs, then ligaments may be not torn in between, it may strip off from one bone, and then that avulsions may also happen in the case of that subluxation or the dislocation. Sometimes what happens when the two due to the severe trauma, the two articular surfaces get dislocated, and that time due to the movement of these articular surfaces, these some kind of the articular cartilage, some part of the articular cartilage get stripped off, get detached from that major articular cartilage, and that in later case and after some time in the later durations, that stripped small part of the cartilage of that articular surfaces, it forms the loose bodies or form the bony structures, so that comes across in the loose bodies in the joint in the later conditions. So sometimes you be found in the especially in the knee joint, there is a loose bodies also occurs, and then sometimes it comes in between the two articular surface, and that it causes difficult in bending, and some kind of that foreign body sensation, foreign body occurs in that particular joint. So this is the also part of the this kind of the pathoanatomical anatomy is some phenomena is going on in the dislocation or the subluxations. So how to diagnose that the injury has the dislocation or the subluxation? The clinical examination is very much important. After trauma, any severe pain in any joint may have, you can suspect that that the joint may be dislocated or the subluxated. So pain is very important factors. Second, the deformity. If it completely there is the distortion of the anatomy of that joint occurs after the subluxation or the dislocation, that may cause a particular kind of the deformity in that joint. So that also comes across. And if you suspect any kind of deformity in particular joint, then you may suspect that the joint may be dislocated or subluxated. Severe swelling in the joint, loss of movement, and shortening of the limb. These are the important factors which are responsible for making the diagnosis of uh, any kind of any joint after the trauma. After the clinical examination, the radiological examination is also important. It may also help in the making the diagnosis. Before going to make that, before going to take the X-ray, you must take the X-ray into two planes, X plane and Y plane. Means with AP view, you also must take the lateral view also. In any joint, suppose in the shoulder joint, if joint is dislocated anteriorly without going downward movement, you cannot clearly say that the dislocation with the AP view. You must take an oblique view or the lateral view. Understand? Means you must have to take X-ray in two planes, X-ray AP view or the lateral view, to know that any kind of the displacement of the two articular surfaces in the X plane or in the Y plane. If doubtful, if your X-ray is doubtful, even in the two planes, you have to compare that particular part with the other particular part. Means suppose if somebody right side dislocation you are suspecting, and you are doubtful that there is dislocation or not, then you may take the X-ray of the left side, then you compare both, then you can say yes, this is dislocated or not dislocated. Means you have to compare that affected part with the healthy part with the X-ray if you are doubtful. If the marked displacement are there, then you can say easily, but if there is a little displacement and you are doubtful, you are not sure, then you just compare with the healthier side. Any associated fracture and osteochondral fragment must always be looked. Means when you see X-ray of that any kind of the dislocation, you must try to find out is there any kind of the fracture or not, or some kind of the osteochondral fragments. Means some part of the articular cartilage is not stripped off or not avulsion is not there. You must look in the X-ray always, not only the dislocation. You just try to find out any kind of the fracture or avulsion is there or not. So these are some special kind of the deformity that occurs in the dislocations. In the shoulder dislocations, in anterior dislocation of the shoulder, there is the abduction kind of deformity. Adduction and abduction. Adduction is, this is the abduction movement, this is the adduction movement. Understand? Abduction, adduction. So in the kind of when the shoulder is dislocated anteriorly, the adduction deformity may happen, occurs, or means the patient is unable to keep his arm with the side of body, always keep aside. Means some kind of the abduction movement is there, abduction deformity is there in kind of anterior dislocation of the shoulder. Similar in the if any person has dislocated elbow, then he or she always flex his elbow. Means the flexion deformities happen in the dislocation of the elbow. Elbow is most likely to dislocate always posteriorly. Means this olecranon goes uh, 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 posteriorly, this head of the ulna is posteriorly dislocated to break the olecranon process. And so this kind of the deformity occurs, this flexion kind of deformity occurs in posterior dislocation of the uh, elbow joint. Here the anterior, when the anterior dislocation of the hip joint, there is the abduction and external rotations. Flexion, abduction and internal rotations. Flexion also is there. I just forget to write here. Sorry, flexion is in the posterior dislocation. In anterior dislocation, there is the abduction and external rotations. Means his hip joint is abducted and externally rotated. While if the hip joint is dislocated posteriorly, then there is a flexion, adduction and internal rotations. You always we just always keep in mind these kind of deformity, because when your patient comes, has the these kind of dislocation, patient always comes to this type of the deformity. That's why very important the observation of that patient's gait or patient's condition, which patient's position is very much important before treating of the patient. When you see a patient with and having the flexion, adduction and internal rotations condition in the lying positions, supine position, and in these kind of the deformity or this kind of the deformation, in this condition you see, you can suspect there is the kind of the hip dislocation is there. If in the knee, the dislocation of the knee, there is a flexion and external rotations, while in the ankle there is a varus deformity. Okay, so there is two kind of deformity in the varus, in the ankles, varus and valgus. Understand? Na? These are congenital deformities. Varus means just the joints become closer. In the while in the valgus, the joints become both joints become separate, means the distance between two joints increase. So some kind of the dislocations, I mean this kind of the deformity happens when these type of the and one kind of the deformity occurs in the, we talk here the shortening of the limbs, but in few conditions, very rare condition, thus the lengthening of limbs is also happen. If there is any kind of the dislocations of the anterior in the hip joint. Usually the hip joint is very rarely dislocate, but if with a severe trauma it may dislocate. When it dislocate posteriorly, then there is the shortening of limb occurs. But if the hip joint dislocate anteriorly, means the femur's heads dislocate anteriorly, then lengthening of the limb also occurs. Okay, so if any patient comes with a hip injury, first thing you do while examinations, you just take the measurement, you just keep side with both limbs, and you can appreciate the shortening or the lengthening. If there is shortening, then there may be the femur head fracture, then there may be the posterior dislocations with that affected joints. If it is lengthening, then there is the anterior dislocations. Okay, so these kind of that examination is very much important, and you must remember these kind of the deformities. Then come to the management. Then it's totally depends on the type, means it's subluxation or the dislocations. Subluxation usually can manage by the closed manipulation, but if there is dislocation, that is very difficult to manage by closed manipulations, and that open reduction may be required. So there is two kind of that acute traumatic dislocation, old reduced unreduced dislocation, and recurrent dislocations. There are three type of the dislocation we already had discussed. So in the first acute traumatic dislocations, urgent reduction is very important, often achieved by the conservative method. If then the operative method may be employed. Understand? Means in any kind of the acute traumatic dislocation, first we try with the close manipulation by the conservative method, means only the close manipulation for the traction. There is some maneuver for the particular setting of the particular dislocation of the joints. So first you try with the manipulations, close manipulations. If it is failed, then operative method may be required. In the old and unreduced dislocation, if a patient comes with the old unreduced dislocation from the long time, then close manipulation will not work. In that condition, operative reduction is always required. Means operations, with the operation you open the complete joint and you then reduce the joint, and then you just strengthen or repair that ligament or that structure, nearby structure, to keep that joint in that particular positions. So old and unreduced dislocation always required open methods. If limb has enough function, they one more thing, if the particular limb, particular joint has the enough function, and there is no cosmetically deformity is there, then you can leave it as it, and surgery is not required. Suppose somebody's finger is little bit subluxated and have little deformity, and but it's not affecting the function of the hand, then you can leave it also. Second, third thing, the recurrent dislocation. If any joint is dislocated or subluxated very frequently, and then the operative construction is very much required. In that case, operative reconstruction, the reconstructive surgery is the choice of the treatment in that conditions. You cannot patient, suppose somebody's shoulder joint is dislocated, and once you reduce by that close manipulation, then again after 1 week or the month, one other month, it again dislocates. So if it is recurrently dislocated, then the close manipulation is done for the acute treatment, but for the later management, open and reconstructive surgery is the choice of the treatment. So there are some conservative method. This is the Kochas maneuver. Kochas maneuver for the anterior dislocation of the shoulder joints. So you have to first take the patient in supine positions, give the anesthesia and give the little sedatives to the patients. Then these are the steps. First you give the traction to the elbow, and then external rotate elbow, then adduction movement, means to keep the elbow side, and then internal rotations, traction, external rotations, adduction and internal rotation. These are the 4 steps comes in the Kochas maneuver for the reduction of that dislocated shoulder joints. And the operative method, the indication of the operative we already discussed. When the close manipulation failed, or when the case of the fracture and dislocation, when the loose fragments of the bone are lying within the joints, then the operative method is should be employed in that cases. There are some complications of the dislocation immediately, early and late. Immediate, there is a new injury to the neurovascular bundle of the limb. This may be complication may be occurs immediately. In the early, there is a recurrence of the recurrence is the most important factors that can happen. Myositis ossificans, persistent instability and joint stiffness. These are the early complications, and the late complication involves recurrent osteoarthritis and avascular necrosis. So these are the complications occurs in the case of the dislocation and the subluxations. So now we have end the complete general fracture and dislocations, complete all things. Okay,